My name's Lee and I'd like to welcome you to a walk around the Boulevards estate of East Tilbury. The Boulevards was a new build around 9 years ago by Persimmon Homes, and the maintenance and upkeep of the site is being transferred to HML, who are a property management company who have the responsibility of looking after the estate. As you can see from these figures, we pay a lot of money for this. 34,000 a year for gardening, water feature maintenance of nearly £2,000, £3,356 on refuse collection, and an extortionate £33,483.76 on management fees. So what do we get for all this money? With over 300 properties on the estate, or just under 300 properties on the estate, all paying around £320 a year, we should be expecting a good service. On top of this, we also pay our council tax to Thurrock Council. So unlike other estates where the council do everything, we rely on HML to do their bit for us. Join me as we walk through the estate and I will show you the state they have left the estate. Welcome to the Boulevards. This is our drainage pond. HML like to call this a water feature on our service charges, which is absolutely lovely to come and walk the dogs. However, this grass was cut a week ago and we were told by HML that it had been completed. As you can see, if I try and point down at my feet here, you can see it's already very long, very strange way of cutting. As you can see, we've got some really long bits here that are coming over my ankles. So yeah, not a great job in actually cutting the grass, and obviously the edge of the pond they leave and they call that a safety feature. Not very safe in my opinion. So let's take you on a little walk around. So as we go around, we can see, we're missing some fences. They've been missing since, I think probably around 8 years now. Right here, on this pole, this was where the sign was that basically said, danger deep water. Obviously people have got eyes and can see that there's water there, but I'm sure there's a legal requirement to actually show that. So as we continue walking, you'll see there's a wide area at the back of the estate, which is dedicated to nature and wildlife. Which is absolutely marvellous, apart from the fact that HML have contracted to cut that back twice a year. Now, they use a different contractor. They use a contractor called Next Level Commercial Services, who are, well, let's just say, not really delivering value for money. As we walk through, and I'm going to take you round to the left here, so this is the nature area you can see that's overgrown, and it is supposed to be overgrown. I'm going to show you this on the floor. This is an old fence panel. Remember that missing fence that we saw? Well, this fence panel has been sat here for 6 years. Next Level Commercial Services tend to come around and mow over the top of it, rather than keeping it in good condition. So this was last cleared about 6 months ago and is due another clear. So let's take you on a little bit more of a journey through. And what do we see here? And I'm going to bring you down to the ground for this one. So you can see here the grass in this whole area actually hasn't been cut. I'm going to bring you down so you can actually see how long the grass is. We can't even see very far at all. Next, and I'm going to go and stand in the grass. I'm going to get wet legs now because it's all wet. And you'll be able to see, if I can move the camera down, there we go. You'll be able to see actually how long the grass is. It's actually above my knee, which is a little bit worrying, seeming we've been told that this grass has been cut by HML. And I'm just a bit worried that they haven't actually come and inspected the site at all. So we're going to continue walking around. As you can see, it's a lovely place to walk, but unfortunately, when you're walking the dogs in such long grass, we have adders around here, we have ticks, and obviously people don't pick up dog poo, especially in long grass. So yeah, the dogs come back a bit mucky. Coming back to the nature parts of this area, as you can see, this definitely hasn't been cut back in some time, definitely not within the contracted 2 years. But I'll come back to you in a moment and I'll show you the other end of the area. So we're back up by the water feature now. I've just taken a slight detour to actually show you the difference in grass lengths where it's just been stopped. But if I move forward, and you remember at the beginning of the video I said around the grass only being cut a week ago and it seemed very long. Well, it does actually show here, and I'll bring you down. That they can actually cut the grass quite short, and have actually chosen not to. Not quite sure why, but they do tend to like riding around on their little mower when they come, because, and as you'll be able to hopefully see here in this video, you can see they've just randomly driven a track through the middle of the grass, leaving it long either side. I have to say it's not too short, but hey, it's walkable. And they've just randomly driven a mowing track for no real apparent reason, other than to sort of have fun. So a little bit more about their mower that they turn up on. So the mower that they turn up on, despite this being raised with HML, is not designed for a large open space like this. It is a small ride-on lawnmower you can use in your backyard if you were lucky enough to have a very large house. So obviously they're not going to be able to do all of this in a day. But as you can see, the grass is getting longer either side of me, and this should be a play area for the children. You can see a park over there just about, but unfortunately children can't use this area. As mentioned in the beginning of the video, we spend a lot of money on service charges to obviously keep this nice for all the residents. As you can see, HML are not keeping up their end of the bargain. Okay, as you can see, we are now at the edge of where they've stopped mowing. They've done it in a lovely straight line, of course. But if you look in the distance there, and I'll try and zoom in a little if I can. Let's have a look. Can I zoom in? No, I probably can. There we go. So if I zoom in, you can see the long grass actually goes all the way up to the slide for the children. So they get slide into the long grass, get wet, covered in dog poo and all that type of stuff. But hey, HML thinks this is okay. So I'm going to carry on our walk now. We can see they have actually cut down this little wild area in the middle. That was done recently. However, they're also responsible for this wild area here. And as you can see, that hasn't been done. Twice a year, as I said, that's supposed to be done contractually, but it hasn't been done. So let's have a look around the rest of the development. This broken fence, despite being reported, has been here now, sorry, moved my camera, has been like this for the past 9 months. No action taken whatsoever, and just a bit of a complete mess. Moving to the left, we should be able to walk all the way around the back of the estate here and down by the train lines. This is a responsibility of HML. As you can see, this indeed is a familiar story, has not been cut. I'm going to stand in the grass again, just so you can see how far it actually comes up. You can see there, it's just about to my knee, and I'm a good 6 foot, so you can imagine, actually how long that is. So let's carry on. As I say, this is supposed to be maintained and cut in line with our service charges. Now, I want you to point you in the direction of a particular flower now. Now, you can see lots of white flowers there, very pretty. That's something called hogweed. No problem with hogweed whatsoever, but I'll come more about that in a moment. Let's have a walk down here, and as you can see on the left-hand side here, this is all supposed to be cut back to with around 3 metres of the railway line. As you can see, that definitely has not been done. And even if I look at this, you can see by the fact that this plant has grown rather large, you can see that this hasn't been touched in a long time. Fair to say that Next Level Commercial Services have run a mower down here in the past, but it hasn't been done in quite a while, and I really don't think they've heard of a strimmer. So we can see more of that white flower on the left-hand side, and we've got one just in front of me right here. Let me see if I can zoom in on that for you. There we go. Can we see that? You see it's slightly bigger than the other one, because this is called giant hogweed. Giant hogweed is a toxic plant that can deliver third-degree burns from the sap. So all it takes is a kid to come and play with it, break the stem, and actually those burns can last for up to 7 years. It is not a protected plant in the UK. It is well known to be dangerous, and advices from the Department of the Environment to actually remove them at first sight. I'm going to scan across slightly, and you will see there are a few more in the distance there next to the railway line. These were reported to HML last year, for which they turned around and said that they would get their contractors to sort it out and they would fence off the area, none of which actually happened. So upon reporting this year, they've turned around and said, oh no, they're too difficult to move because of the seeds that will be deposited, so we just have to live with it, and they're going to put some signs up. That's really good, bearing in mind that these toxins in these plants are also dangerous to dogs, so could be interesting if the fact the dog could read a sign to stay away. We're going to carry on down. Apologies about the camera angle here. As we move down, part of this estate, down by these train lines, is dedicated to what they call a gym. And the gym is basically a load of wood equipment that like balance beams, climbing walls and things like that. You can see one of those equipment coming up here on the left hand side. Well, I would like to say that I would use that or let my children use it, but maybe not. Maybe I don't want them covered in stings and bites. You can see all the nettles here. All this is due to be, or should have been, cut back, and is supposed to be cut back twice a year. This has not been done. I do feel sorry for those people who live opposite this area, because they have no decent green space at all, just a load of weeds and nettles. This shouldn't be the case at all. It should be 3 to 4 metres from the edge of the train line, so they should at least have some green space. Okay, so you remember the giant hogweed that I pointed out, that I reported, or everybody reported to HML? Well, unfortunately, because they didn't do anything last year, it did go to seed. And you will see it's coming right up to the pathway line here. I'm not zoomed in. It runs all the way along. All this, by the way, if I come down a bit, should have been cut. This should all be cut back. But you can see the giant hogweed. We've got new ones coming up there to produce these lovely white flowers. But unfortunately, the toxins are not great. So as you can see, that stretches on for quite some way. So whilst it was reported and not being dealt with, it's now got even worse. It does make me wonder what HML are actually doing and whether they actually visit the site they're supposed to be managing. As you can see from the grass here, it is very long. I'm going to take a walk on the grass. You can see it's very long, it's not been cut. All this is supposed to be cut back twice a year on the left hand side here, but it hasn't been. You can see more of the giant hogweed, which again, just to remind you, is dangerous, can leave 3rd degree burns lasting up to 7 years. So yeah, I think they're going to have to put a lot of signs along here, aren't they? Okay, I'll come back in a moment. Thank you, welcome back. We're back to some of the gym equipment. You can see that's particularly overgrown, but there is worse to show you. And as we move around, we can see we've got a rubbish bin here. The grass is almost as tall as the rubbish bin, if I can get that into focus. Sorry. There we go, you can see the grass is coming over the top of the rubbish bin here. No bin bag in there, just stuff thrown in. And it's generally looking rather shabby. Let me bring my camera back round. There we go, you can see on the lamppost there how long the grass is. We're going to walk down a little bit further and see what else I can show you. We're coming up to another part of the gym equipment. Can you see it yet? I think it'd be very difficult to see anything under this long grass. But actually, here is the gym equipment that we pay maintenance for. Oh dear. It's in a bit of a state. I think this is supposed to be some sort of hurdles. I don't know. I wouldn't like to jump over that, would you? So you can see it's all a bit of a mess. Oh, I've actually had to walk back on myself because I realised I missed a piece of gym equipment. Can you see it? Can you see anything at all apart from a very large plant? I'm going to have to get really close to this one. As you can see, well, you might not be able to. I'm going to have to zoom in. There we go. You see that wooden bar there? That's supposed to be a piece of gym equipment to do sit-ups on. I don't know if I would want to do sit-ups on that. Just a reminder, we pay for this, and we pay for the maintenance and upkeep, and, well, indeed. But what shows it all was the fact that I had to walk back on myself, because actually I missed it. So, HML, where are you? And what are we paying you money to do? So many of the houses on the Boulevards estate are actually leasehold or run by a housing association, still having to pay that service charge to HML. And that service charge also includes site maintenance and obviously enforcement of the lease. There used to be a bin here. Oh yeah, you can see where it was. The massive great big hole in the ground. That hasn't been replaced yet. They still charge us £500 per bin to empty per year. Absolutely nuts. So, as I was saying, they're leasehold properties. So the idea is that HML enforce the leases to keep the area nice. You can see on the left here, we've obviously got cars that haven't got enough space to actually turn out of their properties. They're using the grassy area, which when it's raining, we're lucky today, but actually it stirs it all up and makes it look rather unsightly, which is what HML are supposed to be monitoring and enforcing. But one good thing about it though, the cars going up and down on here do keep the grass nice and short, which is more than what HML can do. A part of enforcing the leases is around all public areas such as this. Even if they're owned on private property, they should be kept nice and neat. On the left here, you can now see another of our so-called gym equipment in a bit of a bad state. So this is a relatively new part of the estate, and young people as they are tend to destroy nice things, but HML don't come and check anything. There used to be a tree there. We got sort of half a tree in that direction, as you can see, but a lot of the trees, if I try and zoom up, there we go, you can see are missing, and yeah, it's a real shame. Thinking that, you know, I'm not saying replace every one of them, but yeah, at least remove the stumps, if anything. We're now on the green area of Sandpiper Close, and if you take a look down at the parking bays, which are the responsibility of HML, you can see, bring it down a bit, there we go, you can see they are completely ridden with weeds, which unfortunately will eventually damage the brickwork and eventually mean that we have to spend more money to get it sorted. So HML, do you want to come and have a look at the site? So we're now on Sandling Close. I'm coming to the end of our little tour of the estate. There used to be some trees here. I'm not quite sure where they've gone, but should they not be replaced? So as I come to the end here, just to say that I've written to HML on many occasions, invited them to come down to site to have a meeting with them, and actually the funny thing is they actually ignore every one of the communications. Well, actually, no, that's not quite true. They'll respond to the bits that they want to respond to and then just ignore the other bits, like, for instance, let me come and have a look at what our contracts are like. What are you doing to manage some of the services that we should be providing, that we're paying for? But hey, hopefully this gives you a really good insight into some of the issues that we're experiencing here on the Boulevards estate in East Tilbury. Thank you for taking the time to watch.